14th regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors, and we're going to start with moments of silence, and I'll go to Supervisor Sabatier first.
Thank you very much. I omitted to make this moment of silence last week for Jim Jonas, a prominent business owner in the Lower Lake area, well known in the Clear Lake area, and also just South Shore as a whole. Was an entrepreneur throughout his entire life. Jonas Oil was not his only business that he had throughout his life. But he was also a prominent community figure in the sense that he was always involved in giving back to the community, a longtime Lions Club contributor. Without his help and his volunteerism, the fireworks display, the parades, all of those things that are things that give pride to the community in the city of Clear Lake and in the South Shore area would not have happened. And his loss is definitely felt. And his business continues to be in family hands, and expect that to continue in the future. But I want to make sure that we remember Jim Jonas today.
Thank you, and I have two more. The first is Alice Garina. She was the office manager for the museums of Lake County. She came to Lake County and joined our staff in 2018, following her retirement from the Mendocino courts, where she had been a clerk for many years. Although she held many other jobs during her lifetime, she said that she wished she would have gotten into museums sooner, because she loved her job so much. She helped keep everything running smoothly at our sites, doing collection, work tours, scheduling, and tabling. We lost not only a great friend, coworker, and mentor, but someone who taught each of us the true meaning of community, as she was always willing to lend a hand with her time and energy. The next is for Terry Knight, who died this past Sunday at 90 years old, surrounded by friends and family. Terry was an avid hunter and fisherman who grew up in Minnesota before moving to Lake County. Terry acquired knowledge of Clear Lake that was second to none. He was one of the lake's fiercest protectors. He spoke about his love for America's oldest lake often in a column that he penned for the Lake County Record B for nearly 4 decades, and on a radio show along with his co-host Greg Gusti for several years until health issues forced him off the airwaves. Terry helped run what was America's largest team bass tournament for a time in the late 1980s and early 1990s, a tournament that still continues to this day. He was a fishing guide on Clear Lake. He also guided deer, pig, and turkey hunts. He was inducted in the California Outdoors Hall of Fame in 2020. He spoke many times at events highlighting the beauty of Clear Lake and was one of Lake County's biggest proponents. Although he believed in speaking up for the lake and the county, he was never one to hold back when criticism was warranted. And he tried to bring all sides in a debate together to work for the betterment of our lake and county. He always had a smile on his face and kind words for his many friends. He'll be sorely missed, and a celebration of life will be planned for a later time. Anything further? Thank you. Supervisor Owen, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any extra items not posted on the agenda?
Chair, we do not.
Thank you. Next, we're going to move to the approval of our consent agenda, and we're going to be pulling items 5.6, 5.8, 5.7, 5.9, and 5.16. 5.9 is for a future date. 5.6 will be discussed later today. 5.8 will be a future date, as will 5.16 and 5.17. And 5.1.7, I'm sorry. Do any supervisors have any further items they request to pull? Not seeing anybody in the public that wishes to see us discuss an item off the consent agenda? Not seeing anyone in the room? Zoom guest? Please state the item you're requesting pulled. Okay, then we're going to close that. What was that? I guessed online. Somebody online had their hand raised. But they put it down. So with that, be ready for action on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the consent agenda as proposed with the exception of, and please correct me if I'm wrong, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, 5.9, and 5.16.
Sounds correct, yes. Do we have a second?
I have a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. We're going to move on to our public input, and we're going to go ahead and start in the room. If anyone wishes to speak on any items that are not posted on today's agenda, you may come forward now, state your name for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name's Tom Flanagan. I live in Sterling Shores Senior Mobile Home Park. And first of all, I wanted to say thank you to Supervisor Sabatier. We thought beating our heads against the wall for months. None of us are familiar, and we don't spend much time in buildings like this, so we don't understand the workings, how it works. And we thought we were being stonewalled. And finally, we were advised to call you guys, and Supervisor Sabatier called us right back. We had a fantastic conversation. He filled us in with everything that's been going on, all of our questions answered. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And then I just wanted to also reiterate, I know it's been said before and it'll be said again, but critical components of this RSO that must be included are the restrictions on rent raises on transfer of ownership of a property and the retroactive aspect of it. They're both very critical. And there's a lot of other stuff too, but we just want to make sure that those ones are addressed. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else in the room?
Good morning. My name is Maya Lynn, and I've been out of town. I'm sorry to hear that Shirley passed. She was our neighbor, and I didn't know that. I mean, she's our neighbor. I didn't know she had passed. I have been reading about Caritas nonprofit, speaking for Save Our Shelter, for those of us who are trying to prevent our homes from being exorbitantly raised with prices by corporations, which operates as a nonprofit. The benefits for a mobile home park to have a 501c3, I'm sure you know because you've all been doing your homework, especially in the current economic climate in California. It's a unique, underutilized asset that the main thing that makes it more strategic to have a nonprofit mobile home park than a regular is because of the tax advantages and the financial mechanics. If you hold your mobile home park under a 501c structure, then the entity is exempt from federal and state income taxes. And if they qualify, and I don't know if Caritas operates as a welfare exemption for low income or affordable housing, which I know that's their label, but I'm not sure if they actually hold that title in Lake County, then they also don't have to pay their property taxes to you. or not to you, but to the county. They can be reduced if they hold that status. It's very frustrating to see people operate as that and wonder if they're really doing it correctly. I notice many people who try to operate a business in this county, myself for one, who probably is going to be closing it. You have to pay on every tiny little thing that you have in your business, and you don't get away without paying your property taxes or your city taxes or whatever taxes that are to be paid. And the purpose of having a non-profit affordable housing is so that people can feel safe and secure to live where they are, because supposedly they have your welfare in their best interest. Well, over the last 4 years, we've had a 22% increase in rent. Now, 7% of that is their pass-through fees. I ask you to take a close look at what you're putting together if it's continuing on for a rent stabilization ordinance. A CPI is really good. I would also like to say you have it at 5%, considering all the increases that we've had, maybe 3%, whichever is lower. And it's so important to make this retroactive to January 2026. I look at my rent statement every month, and I have an extra $60 a month to pay them until 2036. An extra 60. Pass-through fees, I hope you're taking a look at those, because it only takes 60 days for them to add more pass-through fees. So as you're doing these things, please keep in mind that they're operating as a nonprofit and we keep paying. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Not seeing anyone in the room. Anyone online, Johanna? Stephanie, if you could state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Piseno. I'm a mother and a co-owner of a small business providing childcare with my husband. And again, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone here. We were told at the first town hall that there would be continued support and ongoing testing, possibly for years. That has not happened. Instead, families like mine feel like the county has washed its hands of us. We are being told that the water is cleared, yet we are still seeing discoloration, smelling contamination, and questioning whether it is safe for our children. The reality we are living does not match what we are being told. We are also being asked to trust testing from special districts, the same entity involved in this failure. That is a conflict of interest, and it undermines confidence in the results we are being presented to us. The minerals in our water have changed. Levels are higher than before, and we are being told this is acceptable. These changes did not exist prior to the sewage spill. They are a direct result of what happened, and they should not be dismissed. Our water deliveries have been cut off, and now we are expected to pay out of pocket hundreds of dollars per week for clean water while rationing it just to get by. On top of that, we are being told to spend thousands of dollars on top of that for treatment systems that come with no real guarantee. This is not accountability. This is shifting responsibility onto the families who are impacted. Last week, April was declared Child Abuse Awareness Month. So I have to ask, what about our children? Environmental harm is harm. Would you allow your children to live in these conditions? Would you let this stand if your family was in this situation? How would you feel in my position? Leadership requires empathy, accountability, and responsibility. And right now, I am not seeing that. We are not seeing that. We're not asking for anything unreasonable. We're asking for clean water, continued delivery until the real problem is solved. Until then, our families are not safe. And we will not be silent, we will not back down, and we will not stop until our families have clean, safe water. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further online? iPhone user?
Sky Lewa, Pillsbury Family Farms. On March 7, 2026, I experienced a violation of my rights. not because I was disruptive or because I was out of order, but because my viewpoint was not welcome. What occurred on March 7, 2026 was viewpoint discrimination. My comment was interrupted and labeled as off topic, but not because it lacked relevance, but because my comment challenged how this proposed cannabis ordinance is actually applied in practice. And to me, it matters because the First Amendment does not protect speech only when it's convenient for this board. It protects speech, especially when it is critical of government action. When my comment was interrupted and told to stick to the ordinance, my comment was based around the ordinance. It was based on real documented conduct from your own department. We have witnessed community development not just administer permits, but actively step outside of that role. I have read through public comments your plan is being set out to investigate cannabis permittees beyond what your ordinance allows. More concerning, there's public record showing community development department reaching out to the Department of Justice, trying to figure out how they can obtain the individual's criminal background. Not through the ordinance or through policy or through the sheriff's department as required, but by asking the Department of Justice how they can get access directly to the permittee's background information. And what were they told? They were told they could not unless the applicant voluntarily submitted their fingerprints, and that is the line. That is the boundary between planning and law enforcement are getting blurred. Now let's talk about what you introduced last Tuesday. On page 4 of your proposed ordinance amendments, you added language that stated, if community development becomes aware of an active warrant, the application pauses. I'll ask you again, how does the planning department become aware of an active warrant? Because it's not passive language and it's not clerical language. It implies access or the pursuit of access to law enforcement information. And when I stated that this board is allowing community development to expand into a law enforcement role, I was not guessing. I was connecting the dots between your own records that are already laid out in the agendas. So what concerns are ignored when the questions about background checks are being shut down and refused to answer? There's no clear path forward that is defined. It doesn't come across as responsible governance. It comes across as the county creating gray areas and then operating from inside them. So let's call it what it is. You don't want the public to have transparency and you don't want the public to have accountability. And we need to advertise it for what it is. A county that is being built on denial, protected by silence, and maintained through public control. And so I'll leave you with this. If community development is not acting as law enforcement, then state it. If they're not accessing or attempting to access criminal background information, put it on the record. What we're seeing and experience doesn't match what you're saying. When a department starts acting like law enforcement outside of the authority to do so, and this board will not draw the line, that is not responsible governance. It is power without limits and abuse without authority. And it is becoming what kind of a government you are choosing to be. One that answers questions or one that avoids them because the gray area benefits you. So understand this, the emails exist. The actions of your community development department are documented. And when the public sees a department operate outside of its authority, the public sees this board not choosing to correct it. And that liability does not stay with staff, it raises to you. Muleo.
Thank you. No more hands. I'm going to go ahead and close public comment, and we're going to move on to our 903 item, which is Pet of the Week.
Good morning. I'm Officer Plau with Lake County Animal Control, and today we have Winston with us. Winston was found in Kelseyville. He's been with us for going on a month. He's a really nice dog. He came in with a little bit of an injury, but he is on his path to a full recovery. He loves to just hang around and get pets all day, be petted all day. If you guys know anybody interested possibly in Winston or any other animal at the shelter, please feel free to come by to 4949 Hellbush Drive in Lakeport or give us a call at 707-263-0278. And again, this is Winston, if you guys might know anybody that might be interested in him. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have a comment on our Pet of the Week?
Oh, Winston.
Good looking dog.
Oh, my cute.
Good luck, Winston.
Look, buddy.
Thank you. We're going to move on to our 6.3 905 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in Lake County. I'm going to handle this one, and anyone here for the Arts Culture Proclamation is welcome to come up. I believe our DA is part of the arts, right? So maybe you're the only one here. I thought there was going to be some other folks.
Well, I am the president of the Arts Council.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, today we have a proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in Lake County. Whereas Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in April marks the 8th annual statewide celebration first established by the California Legislature in 2019. And whereas Lake County recognizes that arts, culture, and creativity are essential public goods and vital for the health and growth of our thriving communities, and whereas this initiative unites communities, inspires individuals, attracts tourism, and celebrates the richness of our county's diversity. And whereas arts, culture, and creativity encourages positive change and our county's capacity to address community challenges, including advancing equity, inclusion, and access. And whereas creativity sparks innovation, provides youth and a well-rounded education, and equips our future workforce with critical skills and civic values. And whereas arts, culture, and creativity can drive local economic growth, stimulate business activity, create jobs and workforce opportunities, and serve as essential pillars for small businesses. And whereas California is the 4th largest economy in the world, with a creative economy of approximately $261 billion, 8% of the state's GDP, and over 840,000 jobs as of 2022, according to the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis. And whereas these collective efforts at the local, regional, and state levels promote innovation, prosperity, equity, and enrich the lives of all Californians. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors designates the month of April 2026 as Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month in Lake County, passed and adopted today by our Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
I do want to say that art is so important in my life growing up. I always had my family make me do art projects, go to art classes. In school we did art, and I think from a young age kids need art. It helps develop them. It's just a wonderful thing for a child to be creative. It's also true about any age. So get out there and do some art. It could be music, could be painting, it could be anything that is art. It will relax you, it'll make you calmer, it will be healthy for you. So I urge all of you to take something up as a hobby for art. It's a wonderful thing and you won't regret it.
Thank you. Stay here. Stay here. Any comments from board members?
Ditto.
Any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Then I think we will get a picture with our board. Now we're going to move on to our 6.4, 9, 10 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating April 2026 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Lake County. It's going to be handled by Supervisor Sabatier. Anybody here for this is welcome to come up and join him.
I think we have a couple people here for this. It was really good. It was really good.
Good morning.
feel like there's more out there. Thank you all for being here. Today we have a proclamation designating April 2026 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Lake County. Whereas the month of April is dedicated to increasing public awareness and understanding of alcohol misuse, alcohol use disorder, its causes, effective treatment, and recovery. And whereas alcohol misuse remains a serious public health issue affecting individuals, families, and communities, and data from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism show that an estimated 28 million people aged 12 and older experienced past year alcohol use disorder in 2024. Whereas despite the widespread need for care, only 2.1 million people aged 12 and older, or 7.6% of those with past year alcohol use disorder, received alcohol treatment in 2024. And whereas among people aged 12 and older with past year alcohol use disorder in 2024, only 2.5% received medication-assisted treatment, demonstrating the continuing need to expand access to prevention, early intervention, treatment, and recovery support services. And whereas Lake County Behavioral Health Services provided DUI program services to 528 participants in the calendar year 2025 and has assisted with 597 substance use treatment service requests in the calendar year 2025 and offered treatment services to 203 individuals with a diagnosed alcohol use disorder. And whereas youth alcohol use remains a concern in Lake County, and the 2023 California Healthy Kids Survey found that local students in 7th, 9th, and 11th grades reported past month alcohol use rates of 4%, 10%, and 14% respectively. And whereas impaired driving continues to threaten public safety in California, and in 2023 an estimated 1,355 people were killed in alcohol-impaired traffic crashes, accounting for 33% of all motor vehicle fatalities in California. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby designate April 2026 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Lake County and encourages all community members to support efforts that promote education, prevention, treatment, and recovery, passed and adopted this 14th day of April and signed by our board chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Sabatier, Board of Supervisors. My name is Amber Westfall, and I am a program manager with Lake County Behavioral Health Services. As Supervisor Sabatier read this proclamation, it kind of brings some sad feelings when you look at the statistics. What wasn't mentioned in here was that excessive alcohol use and the negative health consequences associated with that is the 4th leading cause. Provide education, resources, and treatment. We also have a 24-hour access line for anybody who is seeking education, linkages, and resources and treatment for alcohol use disorder or any other substances. And that phone number is 1-888-541-4578. Again, that is a 24-hour access line, 7 days a week, including holidays, and that is specific to Lake County and Lake County residents. So anybody could reach out to that number at any time. And if help is not immediately available, then a person will be linked to resources and follow-up care coordination services would occur from there. Would anybody else like to say a few words? Kim?
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'll let Kim introduce herself, but also outside of the member access line, anybody could reach out to any of our direct providers, which includes Hilltop Recovery Services, Redwood Community Services, and Lake County Behavioral Health, along with other entities such as Tribal Health and a few others that I am failing to mention here, but there are many, many resources and community supports available. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Board of Supervisors. Thank you, community members, for recognizing April as Alcohol Awareness Month. I'm Kimberly Guerra, Program Manager for Redwood Community Services. I will be brief and just say we do offer substance use treatment services for women over 18, women who are, or people who are pregnant or parenting. We have inpatient services at Thule House, which is our residential substance use treatment program. We also offer outpatient services, both intensive and regular outpatient. If you're interested or would like to find out more information, you can go to our website, redwoodcommunityservices.org. Thank you.
Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I think we'll get a picture. Okay, next we're going to move on to our 6.5, 915 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating April 2026 as Celebrate Diversity Month in Lake County, and Vice Chair Pyska will be handling this. And anyone here for this item is welcome to come up with her.
I want to thank Health Services for bringing us this proclamation again this year. Do you want to? In front of all these people? I'm sure it'll
We
be.
take no liability for that action.
Proclamation designating the month of April 2026 as Celebrate Diversity Month in Lake County. Whereas Celebrate Diversity Month has been observed each April since 2004, honoring the contributions of individuals of every gender, race, ethnicity, nationality, faith, sexual orientation, gender identity, and ability, among other factors, and intersectionality. And whereas appreciating diversity encourages inclusivity and creates a more welcoming environment for people from all backgrounds. And by learning about other cultures and experiences, individuals can gain greater understanding of the challenges and struggles faced by people in different circumstances. And whereas when people celebrate their differences and are open to diversity, common stereotypes are challenged, promoting a more nuanced and complex understanding of different cultures and backgrounds, and can highlight variety within communities, showcasing unique strengths and talents. And whereas embracing diversity helps combat discrimination, racism, and other constructs that seed division by creating awareness of the importance of accepting and valuing people of differing upbringings and identities. Whereas by bringing people from different experiences together, diversity fosters creativity and innovation, leading to new ideas, perspectives, and solutions to problems, enhances personal growth, and encourages greater empathy and compassion for others. And whereas the richly diverse cultures of the Lake County's 7 tribal nations, Middletown Rancheria of Pomo Indians of California, Koi Nation of Northern California, Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians, Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians, Habematol Pomo of Upper Lake, Robinson Rancheria of Pomo Indians of California, and Elam Colony greatly enhance every facet of life in our communities. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors designates the month of April 2026 as Celebrate Diversity Month in Lake County, passed and adopted this 14th day of April 2026, and signed by the Chair of the Board of Supervisors. Anyone from Health Services? Come on, Layla.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Layla Romero. I am the Health Equity Coordinator for Lake County Health Services. And it is always just such an honor to bring this proclamation. This is our third year doing this. And it's truly meaningful to me to be up here representing my culture and my heritage, and for having all these people join us. Diversity isn't just about race, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, or gender identity. It's that no two people are exactly the same. No two people have the same exact experiences and perspectives. And human beings have the unique ability to practice empathy, and empathy is something you feel for someone that you're not experiencing yourself. And so it's diversity that allows us to practice that. And thank you.
Thank you, Layla. Anyone else?
Any comments from board? Go
I'll
ahead,
just be
Supervisor.
brief. Diversity leads to acceptance and understanding, and I think that it's worthy of celebration.
Thank you. Any members of the public who wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, then I think we're ready for a picture.
I think we need to move up a little bit.
Are we stepping up?
And next, we'll move on to our 6.6 item, 920 item, which is presentation of proclamation designating the week of April 19th through 19th through 25, 2026 as National Crime Victims Week. I'll be handling this one, and anybody here is welcome to come up for this. Looks like we have everybody. This is a proclamation designating the week of April 19 to 25, 2026 as National Crime Victims Week. Whereas Americans are the victims of more than 20 million crimes each year, and crime can touch the lives of anyone regardless of age, national origin, race, creed, religion, gender, sexual orientation, immigration, or economic status. And whereas too many communities feel disconnected from the justice and social response systems and have lost trust in the ability of those systems to recognize and respond to their needs. And whereas victims of repeat victimization who fail to receive supportive services are at greater risk for long-term consequences, and the victim services community has worked for decades to create an environment for victims that is safe, supportive, and effective. And whereas the Victim Witness Division of the Lake County District Attorney's Office serves crime victims daily, providing assistance and support for a variety of needs. And whereas the Victim Witness Division, along with state and federal agencies, is working to improve services to crime victims and enact laws that ensure fair treatment for all victims of crime in Lake County and throughout California. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby designate the week of April 19th through 25th, 2026 as National Crime Victims Week, and expresses their appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, criminal justice professionals, and others who are committed to improving the response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. Passed and adopted by our Board of Supervisors this 14th day of April, 2026. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the board and first thing for this proclamation designating next week as National Crime Victims' Rights Week. The National Crime Victims' Rights Week is a week for us to recognize the victims' rights along with their struggles that they go through nationwide, and to bring that kind of closer to home in Lake County. Victims and survivors are those people in our community. They could be neighbors, they could be friends, they could be family members. And our Victim Witness Office, along with the District Attorney's Office, work tirelessly. All the people behind me work tirelessly. Law enforcement agencies work tirelessly. Our partners, social services, along with child welfare services, also work tirelessly to represent these victims and ensure these victims have a voice, just because crime never sleeps and criminals never rest. So if you are a victim and if you do need assistance, please give our office a call. We can be reached at 707-262-4282. And additionally, we would like to invite the board to our National Victim Rights Week barbecue that's taking place on April 24th at noon. That's a Friday. There will be an email sent to you guys, but that is to thank all of our law enforcement agencies and our partners for the work they do on a daily basis. Thank you.
Board members?
Just a brief comment on the California State Association of Counties. There's a few priorities for the Administration of Justice Committee, and VOCA, the Victims of Crime Act, I think I got that right, is one of those priorities. And the politics of it is strange because sometimes the federal government doesn't want to give us the VOCA, sometimes the state of California doesn't want, and so it's always a balancing act. Luckily, it has been filled, but it's a year-to-year kind of dance that's continuously being played. Appreciate the role that you play in the fact that criminals who do belong behind bars, who have hurt people, do not get to go behind bars if our victims do not feel comfortable in testifying or providing all the information. So appreciate the work that you do.
Thank you. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Anyone online? Not seeing anyone, then we're ready for a photo. And next, we're going to move on to our 6.7 item, which is presentation of a proclamation designating the week of April 12th through 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Dispatcher Week in Lake County. Supervisor Owen is going to handle this, and we'll invite our sheriff and his command staff up.
The Board of Supervisors of Lake County, State of California, proclamation designating the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Dispatchers Week in Lake County. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require law enforcement, fire, or medical or emergency personnel services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of law enforcement officers, firefighters, and emergency medical professionals is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our law enforcement officers and fire personnel is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of the information obtained from the citizens who contact the Lake County Central Dispatch Center. Whereas public safety dispatchers are the first and can be the most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services and provide the vital link to our law enforcement officers and ensures their safety. Oops, did I skip a line? Officers and fire personnel in monitoring their activities by radio, providing them with information, direction, and ensuring their safety. And whereas the public safety dispatchers of Lake County Sheriff's Office and contributed substantially in the apprehension of criminals, suspension of fire, and treatment of patients, of exhibiting comprehension, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job. Now, therefore, be it proclamated that the Lake County Board of Supervisors does hereby designate the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Dispatch Week in Lake County, and encourages all citizens to join in recognizing the community of our public safety dispatchers who dedicate their lives to serving the public to preserve the safety of our community, passed and adopted this 14th day of April 2026.
Thank you, Supervisor Owens and the board for the proclamation. I will keep it really short and sweet. Our dispatchers are the unsung heroes of the Sheriff's Office. If it wasn't for them, we would not be able to do our jobs. They collect all the information from the citizens. They get our deputies where they need to go, and then they look out for the safety of our deputies, and they care for the deputies to make sure that they're safe, and our firefighters. They do a phenomenal job, and I am very proud to be their sheriff and to have our dispatch center, and the dispatchers that we have in our center are among some of the best in the state. And I thank the community for the support and the dispatchers for the work they do. Anybody else? My dispatch supervisor, Lieutenant Ben Moore, I'm going to have him come up here and talk about his dispatchers a little bit.
Thanks, Sheriff. My name is Ben Moore. I run our communication division with the Sheriff's Department. I appreciate this proclamation. Thank you guys very, very much. Our dispatchers, they are the front lines, as it has already been stated. These are the people that are receiving emergency calls of all different types: fires, car crashes, shootings, fights, domestic violence, anything and everything. They have to be prepared right away. We receive more than 2,000 calls per week, and we are a 24-hour business. So it's very nice to hear the proclamation for their good work, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Any members of the public wish to comment? Not seeing anyone, we're ready for a picture. Thank you. Thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate it. And we're going to move on to our 6.8, 9:30 item, which is a hearing, consideration of rescission of tax deed hearing for property located at 16068 34th Avenue, Clear Lake, California, APN number 04182200000. And this is a hearing, and we have our tax collector here. Do we have property owner or the appellant? Okay. So what we're going to do first is we need to swear in witnesses. So if you're going to testify on this in this hearing, you'll need to raise your right hand and be sworn in. And that includes anyone online if we have anyone. If we have anyone online, please raise your hand to identify yourself.
I think there may be multiple people here. You may want to
Anyone that's going to talk, provide testimony needs to be sworn. Do we have everyone? Okay. Anyone online, Johanna?
No hands online.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. With your right hand raised, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So the tax collector will present first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So yes, this is a consideration of rescission of a tax deed regarding 16068 34th Avenue in Clear Lake, and that's APN 041-182-200-000. This is a fairly straightforward situation from our office's perspective. Mr. Guo, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. Mr. Guo did provide the correct address originally to the county when he recorded with the assessor recorder's office. That address was not properly recorded on the properties that he purchased back in 2021. There were efforts made to correct some of those addresses, but those corrections were not completed on this property. The correct address was never added into the record. So when our office provides notice of the tax sale, we go off of the address of record and any other address that we can find in the recorder's index. Because the incorrect address was on the deed and present in the megabyte system, that is the address that we sent notices to. In the meantime, Mr. Guo had contacted the county. He attempted to pay for all of his properties. From our perspective, at all times, he had provided the correct information and made every effort to pay taxes on the properties that he owns here. So because he did not receive notice, we feel that this deed should be rescinded because he did not have the proper opportunity to respond. There is an unusual situation, and I'm guessing that's why we see other people here. This property was flipped immediately after the tax sale, which is something that does happen. The new buyer, Mr. Cortez, is that okay? I was curious who was here, sold it to another party, a Mr. Diaz, who I don't know if he's present. But Mr. Guo filed his petition within the year after the sale occurred. And tax sales can be challenged, even in the most straightforward manner, they can be challenged for up to 1 year after. So we are aware that this other sale happened. That does not change our recommendation on what should occur here, that the tax deed should be rescinded due to lack of proper notice. I'm happy to answer any other questions that the board may have.
Okay, go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, my only question, if you can be specific as to what the true address should have been and what it was being sent to accidentally. Because I see the 310 Brazil, was that the correct address or not the correct address?
No, on the bottom of the deed that was provided by Mr. Guo, it says mail tax statements to Gionde Guo, 2525 12th Avenue in Oakland. There was actually a series of different addresses where mailings were sent to. I believe the addresses for this parcel at all times went to 310 Brazil in San Francisco, which is a different person's address.
Gotcha. Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay.
And I guess I do have another question. What would be the overall roller coaster or domino effect impact of the rescission? It feels like it's the right thing to do, but just to have a better understanding of what does that mean for all the folks that are downstream from this decision?
So I think you've raised the extremely unfortunate aspect of the situation, that because the property was already sold, there is a domino effect here. I mean, again, with tax sales, this is an inherent problem, why you can't get title insurance, why typically we don't like doing tax sales because it does cloud title going forward, and it does lead to this mountain of problems. Especially in the first year after a sale, it's definitely caveat emptor, but buyer beware, because you know that this can be challenged. So I understand that a buyer purchased the property. From our office's perspective, the refund here will go to the purchaser, whoever bought it at the tax sale, which is Mr. Cortez. At that point, the new buyer, you know, the further downstream buyer, Mr. Diaz and Mr. Cortez, will have to work out what happens there. They had a quitclaim deed between them. But from our office perspective, that's not something we're going to get involved in. We're unwinding the sale, that transaction, and we'll refund the buyer from the auction. And I know that's probably not a result that's necessarily would seem the most fair to everyone, but that is the only course of action that we're allowed to take.
Well, I would say it's just an unfortunate situation where there's not really many other solutions to that. Just to be sure, all parties, including Mr. Diaz or Mrs. Diaz, were informed of today's public hearing?
Yes, all parties received notice. It was not clear whether we needed to notice all parties involved, but we wanted to do that anyways, given the fact that there were these other sales. So we did not provide notice just to Mr. Cortez. We did provide notice to Mr. Diaz as well.
Okay, and I appreciate you doing that, because it would make sense that if on record currently it was in Mr. Diaz's name, that person should probably be made aware of that situation. So, thank you.
So just to be clear, everyone knows the risk when they're buying tax defaulted. I mean, there's notifications and things like that you're going to have a problem getting title insurance, and that they can be unwound later.
Yes, from our office perspective, we had recorded as a notice of power to sell from the tax collector's office, indicating that the property was in tax default and subject to our authority to sell it. There's the tax deed that was recorded. So if anyone were to have looked at the recorder's index and examined that chain of title, it would be clear that this was a distressed sale, a delinquent tax sale. And so, you know, that's, from our perspective, that is constructive notice. That is the notice that people need. I understand people may not grasp all the intricacies surrounding the tax sale, but again, that's not something that we can resolve for them.
And then Mr. Guo, he wouldn't end up with the property back, but he would be relieved of any tax liability to the county. Is that how that works?
Mr. Guo would receive the property back. It would be as if the sale never happened.
Okay.
And so it would be restored to the state that it was before the sale. He could then pay the delinquent tax on the property. And I believe this is adjoining his other lots, which are all paid.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick clarification again. Mr. Cortez will receive the exact amount that he paid for the property in the auction, and then the deed would go back to Mr. Guo. That's basically what our action would do today.
Yeah, it would be with interest as well, unfortunately, for the county.
Do we know what that approximation is? I don't know that I saw the amount of the... It was a small amount.
It's, yeah, I think it's a fairly small amount. I think we're talking like $30 to $40 probably.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from the board at this point? Not seeing any. Does that complete your information that you need to provide to us?
Yes.
Okay. So then we could move on to, I believe, Mr. Guo, do you want to provide any information? Do you want to present to us anything? You'll need, if you want to say anything, you'll need to come up to a microphone.
Hello, everyone. He's my nephew. I'm trying to speak out because that's all we need. It's kind of all we saw from Patrick already, so that's all we need. It's okay. We're willing to pay whatever the, what is it, penalty, whatever?
Taxes or?
Yeah, yeah. We're willing to pay everything as long as we got the portion, what's a partial back. Yeah, we're okay. We got, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for everybody's help, and he always say they're very nice in this county, people, so thank you so much, yeah.
Thank you.
Let's make sure we have that Oakland address.
Does Mr. Cortez want to provide any statement?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I may,
ahead.
you may want to get the name of the person who was just
Okay,
speaking
yes,
for the record.
thank you for that. Can you come back and please state your name for the record? Yeah, state your name and his for the record.
My name is Mimi Ho.
My name is Jenti Ko.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, County Council, for. Mr. Cortez, did you want to provide any statement to the board?
Yeah, thank you very much. I kind of hear, you know, what you went through, or how you guys deal with it, and I'm the person who purchased the property on the tax sale. And the only part that I kind of not, I guess, disagree a little bit is I feel like we have all the same exact chance to be responsible. In a sense, if I notice my taxes are not getting sent to me, then I will go to an office and ask, you know, what the deal is. Because if not, then you create this kind of a, you know, wasting time for you guys and everybody else. And I don't mean to take his property at all, but I think for what we went through, you guys' time and my time, and I feel that if you just give me my money back, it's fine. I can argue with that, but I feel like I'm entitled to a little bit of, you know, you use time, you use other people, and just to send the property back with it, just that way I feel like it's a little bit unfair. I don't know if you guys want to kind of see in that side too. Like I say, I have purchased other properties on a tax sale, and I feel that I'm very responsible. I never owe no dollars to any tax. I'm really careful with that side, and I think we all have the same responsibility. And see, if he didn't get the mail on the right address, I think he, by human sense, you go and ask why it's not happening. So that's and I thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you guys see my side a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Should I say my name?
Yes, please.
Apolinar Cortez. Thank you
you.
very much, everybody.
Thank you. Hang on. You were not sworn as a witness, correct?
No, I was just gonna.
Okay, we're not at that point. Mr. Sullivan, is there any information you can offer? I'm just wanting to understand what his questions.
I mean, I certainly sympathize with his position. I understand the frustration, and I know he does frequently buy in our tax sales. I guess I just emphasize this is a very rare occurrence. We do get contested sales regularly, and 99% of the time we reject them, and if it should come to the board, we would recommend rejecting the petition to rescind. I think the big distinction here is that Mr. Guo at all times had always provided the right information to the county. When he realized he wasn't getting the bills, any of his bills, he did contact the county. He worked with the assessor's office. He came to our office, tried to pay everything that he had, but it was, miscommunications with various county offices that led to this. So I think he at all times made a good faith effort, and that is the core distinction between this and probably every other rescission that I've ever worked on. And so I'd emphasize that's why this is so rare.
Okay, but he'll get what he paid back.
He will, and I understand the concerns about the time lost and the time that he's put in, but the only recompense that we can offer is the interest. But that's just based on the amount that was paid. So if it's a small vacant parcel, it's just not going to be that much.
So he'll get what he paid plus interest while we had his money?
Yes.
Okay. Supervisor Sabatier?
And I appreciate the comments from Mr. Cortez, because there is personal responsibility, and I think this is where you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, where It was also our personal responsibility to make sure that what information was provided to us was entered correctly, and we made a mistake. I don't know, I do know that in the sales tax auctions, there's risks that are involved in there. And there is that 1 year risk where an appeal can be made, and this is a possibility. Hopefully this is a anomaly and not a regular thing. Yeah, I'm having flashbacks to the last one, which I wish I had ended up in this similar situation. It did not, because I felt we also held some responsibility to that. But today, the responsibility is black and white. It's at the bottom of the document. We did not enter that data correctly. And I think the right thing, which unfortunately may not be the right thing for you, Mr. Cortez, is to roll things back. And I hope that between you and Mr. Diaz or Mrs. Diaz that it will go well in how that works out, because that does put you in a little bit of a bind. But it is the unfortunacy of going through a tax auction. There's risk, but there's also great potential investment in what you're doing. So I hope that doesn't thwart you from wanting to continue to take part in the future tax auctions we have.
Thank you. Is there any other pending questions from board? Not seeing any. I believe that everyone has provided their side of it. Did I miss anyone who was sworn to testify? No? Okay. Then at this point, I go ahead and open it up to public comment for this item. If you can state your name for the record, and you'd have 3 minutes.
Elaine Brown, Kelseyville. It's always nice to keep a happy customer. It sounds like Mr. Cortez has been a good customer with the county. I know there's several properties that are out there that are abandoned that perhaps you could give him like $5,000 off another property of his choice. Might be a nice gesture. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment in the room? Not seeing anyone online, Johanna? No hands, then I'm going to bring it back to board for any final clarifications or action. Go ahead, Supervisor.
Good to see you again, Elaine Brown. And just that would be a gift of public funds. That's not a possibility. And I get it that in reverse, it's not a positive gift that we're returning back to him at the same time. It's just an unfortunate situation. And so I'm ready to make a motion to approve the rescission of the tax deed as discussed today, APN 041-182-200-000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 4-0. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Need to take a 5-minute break. We'll be in recess.
I missed coffee this morning. I don't know what happened.
Then that was a good time.
I needed that on 9:02.
I'm going to call our meeting back to order at 10:23, and we're going to handle our 6.9 10 a.m. item, which is public hearing, consideration of an ordinance adopting zoning map amendment, PL 25-101, to bring 3 parcels into compliance with the existing industrial general plan land use designation for the Kelseyville area plan and airport land use compatibility plan located at 4325, 4375, and 4425 Highland Springs Road in Lakeport, California, APNs 008-03117, and then 20, and then 44. So we're going to go ahead and start with our community development department. So at this point, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. We will get our presentation up for you, and I will turn the microphone over to Senior Planner Mary Claiborne.
Good morning, Supervisors and Chair. My name is Mary Claiborne. I'm a Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. Today for your consideration is a zoning map amendment. The property owners are present here in chambers this morning. The proposed zoning map amendment is for property owners Donald and Diane Duker and Timothy Cooper, amending the zoning map for the subject properties. The general plan land use designations for the parcels were updated to industrial within the 2008 general plan. However, the zoning map was not amended at that time. The purpose of the proposed zoning map amendment is to correct the zoning district of the parcels to reflect plan development commercial base zoning consistent with the 2008 general plan's industrial land use designation. The project area is located adjacent to Lamson Field Airport, approximately 4.9 miles south of the Lakeport Community Growth Boundary and approximately 2.2 miles west of the Kelseyville Community Growth Boundary. The general plan land use designation for the parcels were updated to industrial within the 2008 general plan by Board of Supervisors Resolution 2008-166 for the 2008 general plan update project GPA 0801. The current zoning designation is listed as agriculture. The purpose of the proposed zoning map amendment is to correct this zoning district of the parcels to reflect plan development commercial based zoning consistent with the general plan. The exhibit map presented indicates the proposed zoning amendment for the project parcels to plan development commercial as seen here on the image on the screen. At this stage, no development is proposed. Should the zoning be amended to plan development commercial, any subsequent proposals would be required to undergo a separate CEQA evaluation. The regulations reviewed for compliance include the Lake County General Plan, the Kelseyville Area Plan, the Lake County Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan, and the Lake County Zoning Ordinance. The proposed rezone of the parcels north of the airport to plan development commercial is consistent with the 2008 General Plan EIR and the noted implementation policies identified. In accordance with the proposed plan development commercial zoning district, again, future development would be reviewed through the use permit process to ensure compatibility with surrounding uses. The Airport Land Use Compatibility Plan and General Plan Chapter 6 Transportation and Circulation Policies are specific to this request. And I have policy T-3.2, Land Use Compatibility, and policy T 2-3.6, Lamson Field Commercial Development. These policies do specifically lay out areas around the Lamson Field Airport that are specific. On the second one, policy T-3.6, the area along the north side of Lamson Field has been designated industrial on the land use map and may be considered for airport-related or airport-dependent industrial manufacturing development, provided the following criteria are met. And then there's 3 bullet points here. Proposals include a rezone from A to PDC, that's Ag to Planned Development Commercial, which is what we're doing here today. Along with general and specific plans of development. Again, there is no project proposed at this time, but when a project does become proposed, it would be consistent with the zoning district. The current agriculture zoning was not changed within the 2008 general plan. The proposed zoning to plan development commercial is consistent with the general plan land use designation of industrial and is consistent with the surrounding properties in close proximity to the airport as seen on the map here. The proposed plan development commercial zoning does require a specific plan of development as previously mentioned for any new proposals. The California Environmental Quality Act analysis that had been done for this project relied upon the environmental impact report for the 2008 general plan update. The EIR notes it will be used as a first-tier environmental document for subsequent environmental reviews. The general plan is a self-mitigating document, and the EIR incorporates policies and implementation measures to address potential impacts. General plan policies T-3.2 and T-3.6 pertain specifically to project parcels located north of the Lamson Airport, which these 3 project parcels are. They are adjacent to the north side, and they actually share lot lines with the airport. The zoning map correction is based on the information contained within the EIR in accordance with Title 14, Division 6, Article 11, Section 15162 of the California Code of Regulations, and no development is proposed as a part of this project. Future development would be subject to additional CEQA review. In summary, the zoning map needs to be updated to be in compliance with the 2008 general plan. Recommendations are that the Board of Supervisors take the following actions. Determine that the proposed zoning map amendment was analyzed in the 2008 general plan FEIR with the findings in the staff report, and adopt the zoning map amendment PL 25101 with the findings in staff's report. And I'm available for any questions or comments you may have.
Okay, do we have, at this point, do we have any questions from supervisors? Go ahead.
So I guess part of my, not concern so much, but it's just very strange that we're in the midst of a general plan update where I guess that could be incorporated. It feels awkward to kind of split that out and do it separately. So I don't know if there's a reason behind the separate action versus waiting for the process of the general plan to complete, which could resolve this. Because my understanding is there's not a current project. So there's not really a rush to do so, because that could be a useless question. But my reason for putting that in front is I don't have the full EIR in front of me to say yes, your findings are correct. I just have a general plan. I'm being told that I have to kind of say yes to the EIR by saying yes to this rezone when I don't have that information. And to me, there's a timeline where a environmental review, this is why they ask us to do our general plan update more often than what we've been able to accomplish. 2008 to 2025 is a very long time. That it feels like waiting for the updated EIR with the updated perspective and lens that we're supposed to do in our environmental review of potential impacts is the right thing to do. I also feel like I don't see anything here related to what does LAFCO say about eliminating an ag zoning into industrial, and also I think it's a great opportunity because it's been attempted and attempted and attempted, and I think there's been one meeting in the past 10 years. It's good to, I think our airport, and it's been brought up before because of other major projects, I think having a land use airport meeting to rediscuss are we still in the exact same place, and do we have a new version of what land use surrounding the airport should be for the development of a 21st century airport, not what we were envisioning back in 2007, because again, a lot has changed. For example, back in 2007, we wouldn't say, let's try to see how we can get CAL FIRE at the airport. Versus today, with all the fire experiences we've had, absolutely can we incorporate a way to expand the airport to be conducive to CAL FIRE. So I think that because of the date of the environmental and the general plan being around the corner where this could be accomplished in that, and what appears to be, and maybe I'm incorrect, no comment from LAFCO or no comment from the Airport Land Use Committee, I feel like those are good opportunities where I don't believe we're in a rush to get this accomplished unless there's reason to be in a rush.
There's a lot packed in that, but I'd be happy to respond to
Go ahead, please.
the ones I could. It would not have been incorporated. Okay, so let's start with Lake County 2050, the general plan update. That environmental impact report took into account the changes that were part of this new general plan update. This change already took place. It would not have been analyzed in the Lake County 2050 impact because it's not up for change. It already took place in the land use designation. Part of the process that we will do after the certification of the new general plan update is then to update the zoning map. It's a standard process afterwards because there are two land use maps that govern, or there are two maps that govern land use in the County of Lake. The first is the land use designation map as approved in the general plan update or in any subsequent general plan map updates. And then the second one is the zoning map. Those two they need to sync because the general plan is the vision of the community. The zoning map is how we roll out the vision of the community. And so it's a basic housekeeping process to update that zoning map. As you will see in 2027, after we finish the Lake County 2050 process, the changes will have been included in the EIR for the general plan, and we'll use that for that rezone map update, which is exactly the process that we're doing today. But it's not part of Lake County 2050 because it was already done. So it's not one of the changes we were anticipating. It's one of the changes that was already approved. And so that's why we've been walking this process through on a separate process, because it's not a change in the Lake County 2050. Let me also talk about LAFCO. LAFCO is not normally a commenting agency in a rezone or general plan as it pertains to a single property. So their opportunity to have commented on this would have been back at the 2008 general plan amendment as well.
Thank you. Supervisor Owen, go ahead.
I agree that the comments should have probably been made back in 2008. But I think that LAFCO should be involved in any conversation that is changing any zoning from ag to something else. I mean, that's one of the major statutes of LAFCO is to protect agricultural land and open spaces. So if there's a change and it potentially eliminates it from being available to ag, I would assume that is a moment for comment, just like any other agency would be able to provide comment. So, and I appreciate the response. I'm still struggling with being forced to do what was supposed to happen in 2008 when the world that I live in is very different, and I just have discomfort with it.
Thank you.
Supervisor Owen.
I know that our priorities. I understand I was on the 2008 area plan for Middletown, and our District 1, Monica,
Planning Commission.
Planning Commissioner, thank you, was on the general plan, I believe, and she wrote in and made comments, and her view, being on it at that time, she took a little different view as to whether it was supposed to be in there or not. It was discussed at that time, but she did write in along with some other public comments. So looking at those and giving them some weight as they were on it, it sounded like at the time that there's a project proposed, it would be looked at, opposed to changing and losing the agriculture at this moment without having a project in mind. And I know that, like I said, high on our priority list is preserving our agriculture. It's not that I would say no to changing it if we knew what the need was, but at this moment we haven't been provided with a need to remove agriculture.
I did receive that email and we did review it, and the concerns expressed regarding losing leverage, I think we've answered in our presentation in that any future development would require both a general plan of development and a specific plan of development, which in our zoning code is handled through a major use permit. And so it would not include a refusal to rezone at that time. The rezone is merely an action that reflects the underlying general plan. And so we'd be looking at that project to make sure it was consistent with the underlying general plan land use designation, which is industrial.
And how many acres is that total, the 3 parcels? Because you're not just removing 1 parcel or 2. How many acres is that total?
Just under 50, I believe.
One moment. Our planner has that info.
It's about 50.
Just like in the 2008 general plan, there was robust discussion and deliberation regarding the agricultural element, and it remained a concern of that board at that time to limit and severely limit the amount of prime ag soils that are taken out of agriculture. And so because it was changed to industrial, my job is to make sure that the zoning code is consistent with the general plan. So I did not question. I'm not coming before you with a request to reverse the previous decision, but rather to make the zoning consistent with the previous decision.
And with the comments that it is consistent, you don't agree with that?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I would rather wait until till the new plan is done and also a project is proposed so we know what's going to go on. I think we need to be, there needs to be a reason to remove agriculture.
The new plan includes this industrial land use designation.
I mean a new plan as in a project being proposed.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Nope.
Supervisor Pyska.
So how involved was LAFCO during the 2008 general plan and the rezoning? Because there had to be more parcels that were moved away from ag around the county. This couldn't be the only 3. Do you know?
Correct. I don't know. I was actually sitting in Johanna's chair at that time, so I didn't track the general plan itself as a planner.
But LAFCO was part of the process, and
I assume that they are part of this process.
and they're commenting now.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the intent was to be able to grow capacity at the airport and
Yes.
to encourage development around the airport, which we know is a big economic driver for our county.
Correct.
I think that was really important to put that in the plan to allow for that growth. But if this correction were to be made today, it wouldn't prohibit the current use of ag there.
Correct.
They could continue until they had a project.
Yes, agriculture is an allowed use within planned development commercial as well.
Right. But I don't understand why we would need to have a project to necessitate this change. Like,
That is
really
my
have the zoning
point.
correct first,
I-
then
yes.
you attract the developers.
Correct.
Okay.
And if developing, or if a development is proposed, again, it will go through stringent review, including its own CEQA and including its own review to make sure that it is compatible with the Airport Land Use Committee, and Airport Land Use, whatever starts with a C, plan. Yes.
So going forward with 2050, the assumption is already there that this land has already been rezoned.
Correct. Or that, no, it doesn't talk about rezoning. That is a
It's already-
follow-up. It's outside of the general plan update process. But it does assume that this land use is already going to be industrial. So it did not anticipate any change in the environmental impact report.
And that's why it's not being looked at. For
Correct.
2050.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the way I understand this at this point is the Board of Supervisors in 2008 approved that general plan update at that time,
Yes.
which included this change in it for the planned commercial development.
Correct.
And the county,
It approved the change to industrial.
industrial.
Yeah, PDC is actually a zoning district,
Okay.
a zoning map
So,
designation.
but it was changed, and we missed a step in certifying these maps
Correct.
back at that time. So that's what the,
There were a number of follow-up zoning map updates after that, and this was not included in that.
okay. And it's clear there's no project. I mean, obviously, if a project came forward, it's got to go through an extensive amount of reviews to see if it's feasible.
Correct.
I mean, that's not in front of us today.
Correct.
Or anything like that. So that was my comment for now. Go ahead.
Should we had decided to add this to the zoning map update, it would not have been analyzed as a change because it's still consistent with the general plan land use designation. Everybody just would have had to wait until 2027.
Yeah.
And the property owner requested that we go ahead and move forward. So I didn't see any problem with moving it forward on its own process rather than making him wait another few years to realize the zoning update.
Okay. Do we have any? Yes, we have one more question from board member.
I just want to re-highlight that we are in a different place today, and I think that having the Lamson Field Airport Land Use Committee discussing what does the future of that airport look like versus 2007 is an important step before we do things that can generate development that then blocks our ability to expand the airport in ways that we were looking to expand. I know it says in there about a north runway. I'm not quite sure how that would work, but I think that it's important to look at our infrastructure first before we finalize this. And I get it, it should have been finalized in 2008, but it's not, and I don't want to miss that opportunity where we now have incentives to do something that may limit what that airport can be in the future. So I just want to re-highlight the need for the airport land use to.
Thank you. If I might respond to that, the last few years with the previous Public Works Director, I had talked about wanting to update the airport land use compatibility plan. There has not been funding secured yet, and his response was there hasn't been any development at the airport. But I'm still looking for funding to update that because even though there has not been significant development at the airport, there are updates in code and in technology and in federal regulations.
And needs.
And in needs. So at the time when we were considering taking this forward, updating that airport land use compatibility plan and even the airport master plan was not on the table. So I was still comfortable with taking this forward as kind of a house cleaning, pretty much, an update that should have happened already.
Anything else, Supervisor Spatier, at this point? Okay, do you have anything else to present?
No, we're happy to take any further questions. But
Okay.
This concludes our presentation.
Well, the property owner is a
Oh,
property.
except for it's 50.67 approximately in acres. Thank you.
So the property owners are here, and I would offer them to speak first. So I'm going to make sure the property owners have the ability to provide information, and I do think it's appropriate to go ahead and give them appropriate time, even if it goes over the 3 minutes. So if you could state your name, sir, and...
My name is Don Duker. My partner in this property is Tim Cooper, and we've worked out there for 40 years. We farmed walnuts. There is a misconception about taking this out of ag. It hasn't been farmed for, I think, over 15 years for reasons beyond our control. I'm sure everybody's aware that pears and walnuts are not a growing industry in Lake County. The issue of the general plan 2050 update, that this was changed in the general plan, and it went through a complete process in 20 years ago. And if we make it part of the 2050 update, the general plan identifies it as planned commercial, and then we're still right back where we are here today, trying to get the zoning change to match it. This is something that we've been working on for a year and a half. I had a guy approach me about buying it, and he wants to do some development, and that would be as a planned development, that would be closely scrutinized, but we can't do anything because as an ag zoning, you can't subdivide it. You can't do what we need to do to do something with him. And I don't know whether he's still interested, frankly. It's been a year and a half, and he has said, if you can't do anything in this county, maybe he'll just move on. What I'd like to do is be able to see what exists there, and with an ag zoning, we can't even do that. I'm here if anybody's got any questions.
Okay.
So we had this 20 years ago. We've been through an extensive process. Tony Farrington was the supervisor at the time, and he offered to come down here and speak about this if anybody had any questions about what happened then. But it went through the agriculture department, it went through public works, it went through all the processes, and I know nobody wants to hear 40 years of history, but this is not a fly-by-night thing. It's not something we jumped into it trying to make a quick buck. It's something we've been involved in for a long time. We were very involved in the airport. I flew for a long time. I learned to fly out of Lamson. At the last update, my partner was on the Airport Land Use Commission. There were 2 airports in the county, and the need for general aviation facilities in Lakeport grew when they closed the airport clearly. It's still something that's needed, and I've had people contact me many times over the years about infrastructure at the airport, but again, there's nothing we can do until the zoning gets changed to conform to the general plan changes that occurred in 2008.
Thank you. Do you have a question, Supervisor
I
Pike?
do. So the mistake in the zoning essentially is prohibiting development right now.
It seems to, yes.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought.
If you want any economic development, it has to be available for you.
That's right, it does. And this is a mistake, needs to be corrected so that you can move on, so that future development can happen. And I don't think we can relitigate those decisions from
I think they were pretty clear 20 years ago.
Right. It is a different time now, but those decisions were made with this intent. And now we're not seeing development at the airport.
Thank you. Did you have anything else, Mr.?
No, I thank you for your time.
Does Mr. Cooper want to offer any information? No, I don't. Okay. So then, the board, before I open it up to public comment, do we have any other questions right now? Not seeing any, then I'll go ahead and open it up to public comment. And if you'll state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Board.
I became aware of this a little over a year ago, and I don't really have an opinion per se on agriculture versus industrial, but I do have an issue about process. This idea that if you say it long enough, it becomes true is very concerning. So far, we've only heard that it was a mistake from the Planning Commission. We've opened up PRA requests. We tried to figure out, was it actually approved in the 2008 plan? A lot of due diligence was actually performed to see if there was actually any basis and fact behind that, and so far we have found out none. So with respect to everybody involved, it just seems we're taking CDD's word for it that it was a mistake. We couldn't find any evidence that it was approved. There was no evidence that the board voted to rezone it. We've asked for that, and through PRA requests and other factors, and no documentation was provided. I think the idea of what's the hurry is a fair point. It appears to me that the rush to this is if it's done outside the 2050 general plan, it makes it easier for the developer to get things approved, maybe cost effectively, and I think that's a motivation for the rush. There is no reason why it couldn't be part of the plan. I think some good points are brought up about what is the intended use of that area. The other thing that I thought was a little humorous is the map that was put up that said this would be consistent with all the other properties in the area, this rezoning, and 90% of all the properties in the area are agriculture. There is a concern about taking property out of ag, and I understand that, and I also understand the need to develop the airport, but my issue is the process. Instead of just taking people's word for it, and since we don't have any evidence that it was approved in 2008, the time to do it right is with the next plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could clarify.
Yes, please.
Thank you. There was no rush. This could have happened any time in the 20 years. We thought it was overdue and decided to pick it up. It has not been rushed. We have done significant internal research to make sure that what we present to you is sound and consistent, including the citations that the planner pointed out from the general plan and the Kelseyville area plan. So we're not hiding anything, and we're not assuming anything.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room for public comment? Yes, come forward, state your name. You'll have 3 minutes. Did you have a question first, Supervisor?
I was just putting up my pen prematurely.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Margot Kambara, member of the General Plan Advisory Committee, representing District 4. I'm speaking for myself and a concerned citizen. I submitted a public comment I sent to your board last night. I will refer key points from that letter. I would also like to answer Supervisor, or actually Vice Chair Pyska's question about why should a project be submitted for this rezoning, or why would that be needed to trigger the rezoning? Well, that is a provision of the airport land use compatibility plan. It required that if there was going to be a rezoning for those parcels by the Lamson Airfield, that there had to be a plan submitted for review so its impacts could be weighed. And there was an exception waived for that if the rezoning request was made in public, as what we see today. And that seems very convenient for the developer. Not so convenient for the neighbors who don't have any line of sight on what is proposed. And in fact, that is what a Public Records Act request turned up, is that there is correspondence between CDD and the landowner about a prospective buyer for the property who wants the land zoned M1. Well, it can't be zoned M1 by the provisions of the airport land use compatibility plan. It can only go from ag to industry, and then PDC, Plan Development Commercial. So I don't want to lose you. This is getting into the weeds of planning and planningese. But what I would like to say is there are two big issues in this thing, and that is accountability, transparency, and due diligence. We have only heard that there is a mistake. Veteran Planning Commissioner Rosenthal has pointed out, no, this is not a mistake. This was common practice in the 80s when she was on the Planning Commission. And this was a safeguard. The zoning of ag to industrial was just a placeholder until the developer was ready to present plans to complete the rest of the rezoning. In terms of due diligence, I submitted a Public Records Act because I was getting no response in terms of my requests for documentation on the approvals from 2008 to rezone. Those approvals are still not available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else in the room? Not seeing anyone. Do we have anyone online, Johanna? Lars? Director Ewing, go ahead.
I appreciate it. Just one of the comment, just from the perspective of Public Works, which has a responsibility for the airport. Haven't been involved with the rezoning piece on this, but there are just a few things that I think were worth talking about. As the interim director, I haven't really dived deep into the airport, but I think the airport land use compatibility plan and the land use commission, happy to work with Director Turner on picking that up, some of the dated documents there. But something that is not referenced there is ongoing work that has been and is continued to update at the airport through our work and requirements with the FAA, along with Caltrans Division of Aeronautics. We have what's called an airport layout plan that basically shows the existing conditions and likely improvements that would go at the airport. The few parcels, the three parcels in question, there is what's called an navigation easement on the south side of these parcels, the north side of the airport. That's not for development. That's simply for airport concerns, making sure that there's clear space and nothing that gets in the way of planes and helicopters. But there's also no development that's shown up there. So I thought it would be worth commenting that the more recent plan, not the airport land use compatibility plan, but the airport layout plan that is just a few years old and is updated, I think, on a more recurring basis, does not show any active development on that north side. I don't believe that the zoning on this would affect the navigation easement or any other uses at the airport.
Thank you, Director Ewing. Supervisor Sabatier, or hang on, let me check on public comment. One more. Sterling. If you can state your name for the record, you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name is Sterling Wellman, speaking on my own behalf. I just want to add one more point to this decision that you guys are going to be making. While I understand the need to correct correct what was missing in the 2008 general plan, I do have concerns about timing and consistency. From what was stated, this change appears to be moving forward now, and I can see how that may be convenient for a specific project or property. But at the same time, we're being told that the general plan update is still in progress, and these types of changes can be addressed as part of that process. So it raises a fair question. If we already have a general plan update underway, why wouldn't we incorporate this correction into that process and ensure everything is aligned at once? Moving forward with pace mill changes now, and then planning to amend again after adoption creates inconsistency and can give the appearance that decisions are being made out of sequence. I'm not opposing the correction itself. I think accountability is important, but I do think the timing matters and consistency matters just as much. If we are going to update the general plan, it would make sense to ensure these fundamental changes are done within the process rather than before and after. I would just ask the board to consider whether waiting and addressing this as a part of the full general plan update would provide a more consistent and transparent approach. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Rasmussen?
Yes, go
She
ahead.
refers to piecemealing, which is a specific issue in environmental analysis, so I just wanted to clarify in that. Piecemealing in this case would have been if we made up the general plan land use designation amendment right now and then took it to you by itself. We're not doing that. This is part of a general plan amendment process, which has already been vetted, approved by the board, and certified by the state. So we are not piecemealing.
Thank you. There was no further? And I'm going to go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to the board, and I believe Supervisor Sabatier is first.
So, thank you. So I don't think there's a dispute that should occur as far as the general plan approved that to be industrial and that it didn't happen. I guess one of my questions is a weirdness to what the general plan says, and you had it up on your slides, but I'm going to read it out loud. It says Lamson Field Commercial Development. The area along the north side of Lamson Field has been designated industrial on the land use map, so therefore there it is. May be considered for airport-related or airport-dependent industrial manufacturing development, provided the following criteria are met. Proposals, which I'm going to guess are not from the county but from a developer, include a rezone from A to PDC. Here we're doing it ourselves, but it's a bit of a conflict in the sense that I don't think you could have an industrial that's zoned ag. Am I correct on that?
That is correct.
And so today we're kind of forced that if we are going to do industrial, it has to be a zone that fits within industrial, which PDC happens to fit within industrial.
Correct.
So it's a strange statement in our policy in our general plan that it says the proposals should be submitted by the developer to rezone it to PDC when I think that's where there's confusion. And I think what we need to state in a way, if we're actually not following what the general plan says, because we're the ones doing the proposing, not a developer, because there's no development in question or to be decided on, that this is not a use of public funds to gift to a developer to do this for them. There is no choice that if you're going to do industrial, you cannot be ag. So this idea that was written in our general plan of proposal includes a rezone from ag to PDC should never have been in there probably in the first place, because there's no way it could have stayed ag if the rezone had been done correctly in 2008 instead of today in 2026. Am I correct in my statement?
I would add a little nuance to that in that there is no development taking place with this rezone. Any development that will take place on those parcels will require the second part of that first bullet point, which is the general and specific plan of development. But projects don't necessarily need to be connected to rezones. That's not a requirement.
But I think it's speaking to that here in the sense that it knows that it's ag, and if you want to rezone to do a development that is conducive to the surrounding area of Lamson Field, the proposal should include a rezone from ag to PDC. That's the way that I'm reading it. So if that my statement was appropriate, that we are doing this in a sense because there's no choice, industrial forces us to not do ag, that this line, which is meant for a developer, we're taking that on without it being a gift of public funds, and that this is because it would have a complete conflict if you had an industrial general plan identification with an ag zone on top of it, that you can't do that. And so today we're moving forward with what should be a part of the proposal of a development because we have no other choice, and therefore it'll meet what the general plan is saying that it should be if there was a development to be considered.
I could defer to county council regarding the gift of public funds part, but I don't think it would be seen as that in this general plan update, Lake County 2050, we are doing land use amendments on properties at property owner request. And that is not, I have not heard that that is a gift of public funds.
And
But
I would say let's not discuss that specific topic since it doesn't have anything to do with the Lamson Field. I don't know how I feel about that, but county council, yes. Chair.
Anything to offer, county council, on that?
We could look into that issue further, but nothing to add at this point.
Okay. Go ahead, Supervisor Owen.
I want to thank Mr. Sabatier for further articulating what I had read. And that was what I was getting at with the project needed to ask for it. When I had made those comments earlier, it was in the material. So I want to thank you for better articulating that. The only other question I do have, and like I said, it's not that I'm not for that, it's what my understandings were a little different. The other question, the one question I do have is, we have been told twice here today that they had asked for the documents, the public documents, showing that it was brought forward and accepted in 2008.
yes.
And as I said, our planner had, in the comments, she had attached her comments. There were 3 comments actually that I had seen. And she had a different take on what was actually done. And I think it's more along what was just articulated with the developer needed to ask for it and there needed to be a plan in mind. So what are we going to do about or what can be done to make sure that the public documents, the request is taken care of and that they get those same documents that you have obviously read and you know where they are, but they're not getting them?
Thank you, Supervisor Owen. I do have an email chain between myself and a public commenter that did provide that information. This was sent Monday, 10:49 a.m. and Monday at 1:39 p.m. that I do have information that Board of Supervisors Resolution 2008-166 was provided to that public commenter. Additionally, they requested Exhibit A that is listed within the Board of Supervisors resolution, which is a link to the general plan, the 2008 general plan on the county website. So that was provided.
Public comment's not open right now.
Okay, so you stated that all of the information pertaining to this issue was given to the people requesting.
That is our
the
position.
information. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further?
Nope, that was it. I just wanted those 2 things.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, so I think that if something was done in the 80s, we probably shouldn't just do it again because we probably need to review that. If something was done in 2008, we probably shouldn't do it just because. I'm hearing that there's a potential development, which I'm also, I guess there's never been an approach to do a rezone because you could do the development if the rezone was done. But I am willing to, even though I have concerns in approving something that was 20 years ago that I have not read through whatsoever and saying, yes, my colleagues 20 years ago said something and I'm going to finish it for them. I have awkwardness with that, but I am willing to move forward. But I'm asking a request from the board. Can we have consensus, please, for the airport land use to meet and have a discussion about the future of the airport? Because I feel that we have been ignoring our airport in the sense that it should be an important aspect of our community, of our economic development. And yes, we're doing work on doing the runway. Yes, we're doing work on doing the apron, and we've done the pilot's lounge and things like that. And those are great, but that doesn't necessarily, is not in my vision of what economic development could be in that area. And I'm hoping that we can get consensus to say we have to engage with our airport land use committee.
Let me check with the county council. Is it appropriate if we were to answer that question with consensus right now? Because it's outside of this item.
Arguably it is, but consensus via direction of staff as it relates to the topic itself. I mean, your board has done that before. Up to the discretion of your board, at least 3.
All right, I'd be willing to give consensus to staff separately that we need to get that going.
Then you have my vote of approval for this.
Okay, it looks like we have consensus for that. So I need to take a 5-minute break. So we're going to be in recess for 5 minutes. order. And I believe where we were is we gave direction to staff about the airport land use committee work. And so, did we have any other questions or clarifications from board members on the item in front of us, which is this rezoning, this general plan amendment?
No further questions.
Okay.
Are these the best motions, County Council? You want me to do it for you?
Yeah, are ready for action if there's no
Both of
further.
them?
Yes, and I could, if your board wishes, I could walk through the first reading motion on the rezone. That would be the second motion.
Yes,
But the first
please.
motion is fine.
Yes, please.
So the first motion would be to move that the Board of Supervisors determine that the rezoning map amendment PL-25-101 will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact based on the adopted 2008 General Plan EIR, and that no further environmental review is required.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 4-0.
And the second motion is motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance to be read in title only.
So moved.
Johanna?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that carries 4-0. Johanna?
An ordinance amending section 21-3.7 of chapter 21 of the ordinance code of the County of Lake by adopting a sectional district zoning map number 3.7B1, and I think this one's 410. Rezoning PL-25-101, the lands of Donald and Diane Duker and Timothy Cooper, located at 4325, 4375, and 4425 Highland Springs Road, Lakeport, APN 008-031-20, and 008-031-44, and 008-031-17. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. County Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So actually, I apologize. There is one more motion to move this forward to a second reading, so I do have the motion language for that.
Go ahead, please.
It would be a motion to approve the draft ordinance to be advanced to the next Board of Supervisors meeting for consideration and possible adoption.
So moved.
We don't need the date. Okay. Yep. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that carries 4-0. And that concludes this item. Thank you, everyone. And will you be staying?
If you're calling up the next timed item, yes.
I'm going to. We're going to move on to our 6.10, 1030 item, which is consideration of amending ordinance number 3153, adopting development agreement 2401 for Gwinnett Valley Mixed-Use Plan Development Project as amended. We have our community development staff, and go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you. I would actually like to request a 1-week continuance on this item. I do apologize for the inconvenience. It came to our attention after the posting of the agenda that County Council had some concerns with the structure of the ordinance, the draft ordinance.
Okay.
I would defer to Lloyd for further details.
Okay, we have a request for continuance in front of us. I'll go to Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Mr. Quintovano can give some details, because I unfortunately did my usual thing and put the previous ordinance next to the new ordinance, and I see no changes other than the number on top remains the same as the previous number, but can't that just be deleted? Is there anything else that needs to change?
Go ahead, please, County Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So there are more, I would say, substantive and also formatting changes with this proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 3153. That would require some, at the very least, some formatting changes as to the structure of it. Because ordinance number 3153 attaches a development agreement as an exhibit, and that was approved by your board. And there are proposed changes to that exhibit, which is the development agreement, substantive changes that would need to be reflected in this new proposed ordinance. So much of it, much of the changes that my office will be working with community development are structural as far as both on the formatting side and the substantive aspects of that proposed ordinance.
So are you saying that this is an amendment rather than a brand-new ordinance? Because I thought the ordinance died when it wasn't executed in 10 days.
The ordinance number 3153, you mean? My understanding is that ordinance that was adopted by the board, but staff can certainly confirm that.
But it needed to be executed in 10 days, and it was not executed in 10 days. And I thought that's why we were here, was to redo the ordinance since it kind of died from lack of activity.
Yeah, so that was, we can look into that further, but the way we're approaching, staff is approaching it, is we're amending ordinance number 3153, and we're doing it in a way, or we're proposing to do it in a way where we would make some substantive changes to that development agreement and address that 10-day period or expiration period that was in the previous ordinance. We're doing it by amendment. Now, the other option, and this is why we would need more time to do that, is certainly there could be a repeal of that prior ordinance, a recognition of that, so that there would be a new ordinance that would be proposed to your board. That is the other option that we're also looking into. Again, structural changes to be presented to your board, and because neither of those options were fully fleshed out in the packet, in the agenda item packet, staff will just need another week to present a more structured version for your board, for your board's consideration.
Okay. I'm slightly confused, but if it's coming back next week, that's fine. I'm not, I hope the developers are aware that there may be changes in the developer agreement, because we already approved one, and so it just feels a little strange, but I'll let it go.
Okay, go ahead, Supervisor Pyska.
I'm just concerned about next week's calendar. Is there time to do it next week, or do we need to do a different week?
We can adjust the agenda to accommodate it, since it's going to be a date and time certain.
What do you, Director Turner, how long would you expect this hearing to last?
Not very long. The changes are
When
not
it comes back, you
significant.
don't expect
Correct.
it?
This board is already very well familiar with the whole Gwinnett Valley project.
Right. Okay. So let's go ahead and open it to the public for just related to whether or not we're going to continue this. Go ahead, Director.
If I could add further detail, the change is language agreed upon by the developer and CDD related to execution recordation.
Okay.
I don't anticipate a robust public response regarding that.
Okay. Is there any public comment regarding continuing this item? I'm not seeing any in the room or online. So go ahead, Supervisor Spati.
Yeah, because I at least want to provide a comment of something that was, it wasn't redlined on there. The execution portion, the 10 days was taken out of this new version. But if you go to section, I forget what section it was, section 41 on page 38, it still says it needs to go to the assessor recorder to be recorded in 10 days. So I don't know that we can take that away so that it gives us more time to get it executed when it still says in there that it needs to be at the assessor recorders within 10 days. I just want to at least highlight that in case that's something that needs to change, because section 6.1 provided the 10 days for execution, but section 41 also says it needs to be in the assessor recorder's office by 10 days. So we can't get rid of one if the other one still stays, and I want to make sure that we're not having to redo this again. And I would love for us, when we do our second reading, is to make sure that we take a break to get it notarized so we can move on, because I think this is important enough that we should be able to do that.
Okay, so it sounds like we're proposing, there was a question about next week, whether it was possible. Are we?
We'll make it work.
Okay, we'll make it work.
Thank you.
So it sounds like do we have consensus? It looks like, I believe we do, to move that. Go ahead, County Council.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, because it is a public hearing,
Okay.
technically on first reading it would be, and I'm prepared with the motion language.
Can you give that to us, please?
Yes, so it would be a motion to continue the first reading of this proposed ordinance to a specific date and time certain.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Yes.
11:15 next week. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to thank Maria. I had called her yesterday. Oops. Oh, it's on. Oh, nope, it's not. I had called her yesterday, and I just want to publicly thank her for the red line version. I've been asking that on some of the other things, and it did help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Allen.
And staff.
I'm going to go ahead and call our 5.6 item. Or you have input?
Yes, Chair, I do have recommendations since Director Ewing is in the chambers that we pick up 7.3.
Okay, I can move to 7.3, which is consideration of advanced salary step appointment of Brian Powers to Public Works Construction Project Manager. And we have Director Ewing. I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good morning. Lars Ewing, Interim Public Works Director. Excuse me. These items are an item like this is typically on consent. So I'll summarize this very briefly. The former Public Services Department put out a recruitment for a Public Works Construction Project Manager, which Brian Powers applied for. Now, for some background on Mr. Powers, he retired from county employment a couple of years ago from this exact position, Construction Project Manager, Public Works Construction Project Manager, where he was in a Step 5 for your board's awareness. And the public's awareness, Step 5 is the top step for payment. It goes from Step 1 to Step 5. 1 would be entry level. Step 5, I believe, is termed career. So we're talking about someone who has more experience. So he retired out of Step 5. He came back as an extra help employee in that position, excuse me, as a Step 5. And so that was approved, and we put out this recruitment. He was selected through an open recruitment, and in order to bring him up back at the same step, Step 5, needs to come to your board for approval. The memo talks about some of the projects that he may work on, and really summarizes his background at a very high level, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. But it's my recommendation to appoint at Step 5.
So it's in front of us only for authorizing the Step 5. That's what's in our purview.
Yes.
And just to be clear, it's the same step he was making to include all of his extra help time. It just would have been, he wouldn't have been getting benefits and stuff at that time, but
Correct.
Essentially the salary's the same as it was and is and will be.
Because it was a new recruitment, it does require this approval at your board.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from board members or comments? Supervisor Sabati?
Yeah, I guess I just have one question. The difference between Parks and Project Superintendent, I'm sorry if you mentioned it, it just went right over my head, and Public Works Construction Project Manager, like what's the, just because if I go from, sorry, I'm going to skip to a different position, or I guess Parks Maintenance 1 to Parks Maintenance 2, you don't carry on your fifth step into your Park Maintenance 2. You start over at Step 1 because of that change in...
There's probably some nuances there, but I think the important piece here is that the Parks and Project Superintendent is a separate classification, separate series from the Public Works Construction Project Manager. We put out a recruitment. Public Services put out a recruitment for that Public Works Construction Project Manager, and Mr. Powers applied for it. So it wasn't a promotion, a next step up. It was really just a completely separate position that he applied for. So they're related in the sense that they have project in the title, but really the Parks and Project Superintendent was focused on park projects primarily. So this construction project manager would be working on a variety of different projects, parks, facilities, with the transition and the merger with Public Works now, transportation projects, airport development projects and the like.
You just had to say airport, huh?
We do have the airport.
We do have an airport.
Yeah.
I mean, my comfort level, I don't know if the chair is correct or not, that if it's fifth step or nothing. I'm very comfortable with fourth step. Fifth step, I feel there's not enough information to know if it's a huge raise or if it's almost a level set across. There's no dollar signs, no numbers, no, what are those codes called for our salary? Like, you know, the whatever, you know, the codes I'm talking about, that basically set the salaries. I'm happy to say yes to Mr. Powers. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, see if there's any further conversation.
Okay, what I can offer, and I apologize, I don't have the the numbers here in front of me, but in order to qualify for any advanced step, you have to meet the minimum requirements, and then from there you get a year of experience for each one, and you qualify in as step 5. For each of the previous appointments, Mr. Powers met those minimum standards for a step 5 in the past, and so I would think it would be a good argument to say that he still meets those requirements now. So I apologize that I don't have the exact numbers, but I can vouch for the fact that he does have the experience in construction management to qualify as a step 5. Now what the pay is for that step, again, I don't have that here, but I think the important piece here is really the minimum requirements to qualify as a step 5. He does have those, and that has been confirmed by Human Resources, not just at the department level.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Not seeing any, right? Do you?
No, go ahead.
Then I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. Do we have anyone in the room? And no hands, nothing in the room, nothing online. I'm going to bring it back to the board for any further questions, comments, or go ahead, Supervisor.
I do have a question about the retirement and the pension. Is he limited in number of hours at this position?
I leave that to the employee who has coordinated that with Human Resources. I believe he's essentially coming out of retirement in order to do this. So that's something that I would really defer to Human Resources on. But I would expect that if those pieces have been addressed.
Yeah, if he's coming out of retirement, he has to suspend his PERS, and he would not be retired anymore. Go ahead.
I can confirm I signed his paperwork on coming out of retirement.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything further? And there was no public comment, so now it's in front of us.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the advanced salary step appointment of Brian Powers to Public Works Construction Project Manager.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell Mr. Powers, welcome home.
All right, I will.
Never left.
May I handle 5-6, or
Would you mind doing 7-2 and then 5-6?
I can do that. I will call item 7-2, which is consideration of the following advisory board appointments, and that's going to be for first, Cobb Municipal Area Council, and then Lower Lake Waterworks District 1. We'll do what we normally do. We'll go through it on the board one by one. Yours first on the Cobb Council. You're good with that? And then Lower Lake Waterworks, is that your
Yes.
district,
Yeah.
Supervisor?
Yep, and it's a yes.
And you're good with that?
Mhm.
Okay. So let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Do we have any members of the public? Not seeing any in the room. Anyone online? No hands. So bring it back to the board to be ready for action. We'll start with Cobb.
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Joe Schneider to the Cobb Area Council.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 4-0. Next to Supervisor Owen on, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I have to find it. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Douglas James to the Lower Lake Cemetery Board. Water District, I'm sorry.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 4-0.
You almost had an angry James.
Now I'm going to try to move on to 5-6. Say that again? I'll show the resolution. Okay. So 5-6, sorry, I got to move around the agenda. It's way back here.
5-6.
Adopt resolution approving the application of the Lake County Arts Council for the California Arts Council State Local Partners Grant for fiscal year 2026 through 2028, and authorizing Lake County Arts Council to execute the grant contract. I know Supervisor Sabatier had identified a concern, so I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce that concern.
Yeah, thank you to Carolyn Purdy for the help of revising this. It said in the resolution that we approved the application, but there is no such application until very much last minute. And so I talked to Barbara Clark, who is the president of the Lake County Arts Council, who said that all she needs is the approval to submit the application. And so we just changed that up so that we're not saying something that we're actually not doing. And I took out a whereas that said we have reviewed and approved the application in the whereas, so.
Okay. Any questions from supervisors? Not seeing any. We'll go ahead and open it to the public. Anyone in the room? No? Anyone online? No hands. We'll bring it back to the board for action.
I offer the resolution as amended.
Resolution's been offered.
Supervisor Owen?
Yes.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rasmussen?
Aye. That carries, and going back to, it looks like we can start 7 point. Go ahead.
Please take up the calendars while I get, excuse me, while I get Director Turner down here.
Okay.
7.4.
She's here in the back.
Oh my gosh. It's the second
Or
time she did it.
can we call her up? Or?
Yes, please, sir.
Director Turner. You couldn't see her.
I couldn't see her.
Yeah.
I was trained.
Okay, I need to read this off. 7.4, which is an addendum. Consideration of Amendment 4 of the agreement between the County of Lake and Placeworks for general plan update webpage and document accessibility improvements to comply with Department of Justice standards and increase by $29,873 for a total compensation not to exceed $2,342,467.04. And I'm going to turn it over to Director Turner to
Thank you.
introduce this item.
Thank you. There was an accessibility law passed in 2024 that had that requires sort of an upgrading of county public web pages and documents. I kind of lost track of it because I thought that we had another year, but recently our contractor questioned that, and their internal discussion, they were concerned that we actually are bound to the deadline that is April 24th of this year. And so they asked that we confer with County Council, which we did, and we are indeed bound by upgrading our accessibility in the general plan update website and all general plan documents by April 24th of this year. So we're bringing this project forward to you today because you may have more recent information. I know you were talking to IT. We checked to see if it was something we could do in-house, but didn't think we could meet that deadline. Because we are in this crucial public review period, and we've got great momentum, a lot of people are using the website, we did not want to have to take it down while we were getting into compliance with these new standards. And so that's why we're bringing, and IT did not think, they were not sure when I spoke with them that they could meet this timeline and this deadline. So in order to be sure that our website is not going to be non-compliant with the law and inaccessible, we're bringing this request for an amendment to you so that we can get started on it right away with the contractor's in-house staff.
Okay. Was that it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I wanted to make a couple of comments, because when I saw this, I was concerned, because I'm aware of that law, and seeing that we only had 10 days to get all this done now, basically. So that's why I inquired with our IT to see where we were at with the county compliance for the DOJ with the County of Lake website, and found out that basically where we sit right now is that we, as of today, we're in compliance with the main website, where we have a service that stands in front of it and deals with this, but we're also still working on that service being able to deal with the PDF forms, which is getting very close to being wrapped up. So initially I had learned that our IT wasn't able to deal with this because it was an outside website, but I had a conversation with the IT director yesterday, and he told me that, you know, it was within the realm of possibilities that maybe our service that we have could also handle a website like this that wasn't part of our county website, but technically kind of is ours because we're contracting for it. But I know there's other complexities to it, in being that I don't know if PlaceWorks would even allow that, for one. I know that IT director couldn't give me an answer by today. It would take a little bit of time. So we're in this kind of quandary of having to make a decision, because if we don't, then we're looking to remove our website for 2050 in 10 days.
Correct.
Now, my other question that, are they 100% confident that if we approve this today for this 29,873, they can guarantee they'd be in compliance before the deadline in 10 days, and we're not going to take that website down?
At our last discussion last week, I had maybe a 97% sure.
97%.
But if you'd like to take a break, I'd be happy to reach out to them now.
I want to feel confident about it.
Certainly.
Go ahead, CAO.
Director French is available if needed.
Director, do we have another question, or can I ask Director to?
Please continue.
Director French, is he online? Can you bring him up and give him access? You don't see him? Can we take a short break?
Certainly.
because-
Yeah, I brought you the best information that
Go
I
ahead,
had
go
from
ahead.
IT.
Just because my question is not specifically IT related, but I do appreciate your line of questions on that. I guess I'd like to better understand, what exactly are we changing for $29,000? Because that's an expensive revision to a website that, is it 90% close? Is it 5% close? Like, I looked at it and I see nothing that seems absurd as far as accessibility, but what do I know? And I'm also wanting to have the conversation about where this money is coming from, because from what I understand, it's coming from the general budget of the planning department, not from any grants or anything else.
Correct.
Am I correct on that? And that
Certainly.
concerns me greatly.
I will defer all the techie stuff to Shane. He can describe what has to be done. I just received assurance from the contractor. It will be done if they get started today. And yes, we have funds in our budget for contractor services that we are not going to use. And we're planning on moving that into pay for this.
Okay.
I still have concerns, because I mean, knowing our conversations regarding budgets, I want to kind of better understand how that, what the implications are to that and where that fits.
I would also be happy to defer to admin. I know Stephen is usually really good at talking about those, I'm sure.
Can we bring him in?
Or CAO Parker, I'm sure, but as far as budget goes.
Sorry, Mariah. I have Casey Moreno coming into the.
Okay.
Good, thank you. Casey did vet this already. So, awesome.
Can I bring up the IT director? Thank you, Director French. And I don't know if you heard what some of my comments were before you came down, but basically I had brought it up that, I had talked to you to see if what we were doing with our general county websites was within the realm of possibilities of being able to handle this, for one. And if the answer was yes, if we got an answer, would it be able to be done in the timeline by April 24th, I believe is our deadline. And, I also had questions about, and I know you may not even know, but it sounded like you may not know exactly that our cost that we're paying for the entire county to do this is maybe half the cost of what we would have to pay to get this update by this company.
Yeah, so morning, Shane French, IT Director. First of all, apologies to Maria because she did inquire with me about this previously, and at the time, I told her that, since this was something that we didn't manage, they were going to have to go and have their contractor work on that. And in between then and now, and when you and I talked, got some information that seemed to indicate that the solution that we're going to be purchasing for the county website might be able to be used also for this third-party website. And so that was just something that I was looking into. I don't have a final cost on that solution yet, but my impression from the vendor was that it was going to be around 15, 17,000 like that for the county website, and then of course any other website that is essentially under our control. And that's kind of the sticking point at the moment. Is I'm not entirely certain that I can say for sure that website is technically under our control. So, but the vendors seem to be amenable to the idea that we might be able to use that accessibility product to protect that website as well, because it is substantially under our control in that we've contracted to have it created. So in any event, that's kind of the direction I was looking at, was if we can protect that site, then by all means we would go ahead and flip the switch and turn that service on for that site as well.
And I appreciate that. Go ahead.
But when are you going to purchase that tool?
So we're purchasing it now. We're trying to get a final price from the vendor and get a contract from them. So the idea would be to get it installed and activated. It's essentially just a service they turn up on their end and have it done by the 24th.
The 24th is the last day for public input on our EIR, but we have another week after that for public input on all the general plan documents.
Okay.
Of which there are quite a few.
And so you said it's 12 to 15,000.
15 to 17.
Or 15 to 17 to purchase it for the county's website, and then we could just potentially use it for.
Yeah, because essentially all it is it's like a website that stands in between our PDF documents, the links to our PDF documents, and the consumer, right? And so we essentially put up kind of a link to this service, and it would kind of stand in between all of the documents that are hosted on the site, and it kind of fixes them up, so to speak, so that they're accessible. So I don't know a lot at the technical level about how it works, other than that we tell them, here's our websites, turn up these services for these sites, and then when the consumer goes to the website, it brings up a readable format, an ADA compliant format of the PDFs.
And so this literally, because I'm not an expert on any of this, this is literally a service that in an hour or a day you can turn it on and it's working.
Yeah, that's what I'm told. Essentially, like I said, it is an automated mitigation platform, right? So instead of paying somebody to go in and mitigate all your PDFs because it's not simple. I mean, I'm told it takes potentially hours or more to mitigate even one document. So this system will go in and it has, I'm sure AI features and whatnot that are just going to go through and scan and then take the content of that document and produce it in an accessible format over the web. Basically turn a PDF into HTML, is essentially what's happening.
The work that was described to me by the contractor was actually going in and fixing each document.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
Yes.
That was my question.
And that's why we're
That's really
paying
expensive.
$30,000, and I don't want to put us in a bad situation with losing the website, but I feel we have to discuss it because, you know, if we're spending 15, 17 here, now we're at 45, you know, I just wanted to look at this option, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but go ahead.
I'm glad you had the time to have the conversation, because I did not have that conversation with Mr. French. And so I know that LAFCO just did this. We had to purchase a tool to be able to do this for us for all our PDFs. What I hope, and I'm getting in the weeds, I guess, what I hope is, I know we have some very old documents that are really rough scans, is that we're given a list of what documents maybe are troublesome in doing the automatic mitigation, and maybe we need to pull those off the website, say they're accessible here, and maybe eventually put them back up once they're cleaner, because I know there's some really ancient stuff that I have to read between the gray lines in the printout that's been scanned. It's like print, scan, print, scan, print,
Right.
scan, looks like. But I would like to look at this different model, especially because of my concern of touching money where I don't think we should be touching money. So if there's an alternative and we can use a county-wide tool, I will add one statement. I feel we have too many websites. Like, we have so many websites, and how many people go to websites? And I also feel we have too many social media choices. Like, I feel we need to limit our interaction where not every department has to have its social media folks, or it feels like we can really centralize a lot of this. Well, right now we are everywhere on the internet, where I think it just creates a whole lot more work. Where I think Lake County 2050 can be on our website under a special heading, and it should be as simple as that. A little late for that conversation, but just for future sense, I think we are expanding a little too large.
Can I just speak to that? I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying. I have a feeling, though, and I don't want to speak for Maria, but I think probably the reason that this particular site was instantiated in the way that it was is only because of the scope of work that would require to put it together, and our inability to give a third party that kind of direct access to our public-facing site. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's kind of the impression that I got previously.
Those are fine words. They fit well in my mouth.
Well, go ahead, Supervisor.
I'm just wondering, we're definitely in a time crunch because you say PlaceWorks needs to know by today.
This is probably the worst time to have to take it
Yeah,
down.
Right, and then Shane, you have some good-looking possibilities. Is there
Pretty
a
much,
way that
yeah.
we could bring this conversation back at the end of the day and have a little bit more information? Are you that close, Shane, or?
Well, so the next meeting I have with the vendor, they had an account rep change, and so it kind of messed things up. But basically, I have a meeting with them on Monday, and that's the soonest I would have any definitive answers. But the information I got from them as of this morning was that didn't seem like it would be a problem. But again, that doesn't really go into the weeds on the technical details required, because PlaceWorks, the company that's going to build that or has already built that site, still needs to be in the loop, right? Because I can't just tell them, hey, you need to put this HTML code in your website, and I don't know what it's involved for them, or if they would even be amenable to that since it's their product.
But I do like your idea. I'm wondering if by the end of the day, could we find out if PlaceWorks would be okay with that
Yes,
arrangement?
I will confer with them.
Because I think I have a pretty good degree of confidence based on my conversation with Shane that this may actually work to be included in our whole county 15,000, which
Yeah.
I know 30,000 in our big full budget picture. Maybe some people wouldn't think it's a lot of money, but there's reasons that it is. 30,000 is a chunk of money. So I would then propose that we can trail this item until later in the day to see if you two can get online with PlaceWorks and see if we can get an answer to that question.
Thank you.
Just quickly, I just do want to just make sure that I say, just to set everybody's expectations properly, that
Okay.
$17,000 figure was totally not a formal quote from the vendor, and that is the thing we're trying
Yeah.
to nail down right now with them.
If it's less than 30,000, we're good.
But, and that's
Don't
for-
say it out loud, they might be watching this. They
No.
don't want to leave money on the
Yeah.
table.
3,000.
But
That-
it's a tool that can be used on multiple websites.
Yes.
A one-time purchase.
Well, not a one-time purchase.
Not a one-time.
It's a subscription.
A
Every year you're
subscription.
paying that 17,000.
But it's for
One
the
time
entire
for
county.
this year that we can use across.
Yep.
We can use broadly.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, let's have this conversation a little bit later.
Okay.
And I do realize that even if it went to 25 grand, that's still less in the big picture.
Unfortunately, this is all about how expensive it is to mitigate these documents, to truly mitigate them, right? I mean, the alternative is we've got thousands of documents nobody's even looked at in a million years, right? And they're going to have to go down and figure out the intent of the document, restructure it, in a way that meets ADA requirements, new ADA requirements, which are quite extensive, and nobody here has the expertise to really do. And these consultants that do this kind of work are very busy right now, so they can kind of name their price. So unfortunately, we're kind of stuck. We have to find a way to mitigate these things. And a service like this, I'm hoping that it works as advertised, but it sounds by all accounts that it does. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
So we have consensus to continue to later today at an unknown time? Okay, thank you, Director. And then if we could have Deputy Moreno back too, just in case at that time, or when it comes back? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to call lunch. Do you have any? Okay. We're going to be in recess until 12 or 1 o'clock. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
We're trailing.
Do we not have public? Oh, we're trailing.
Oh, public comment. I'm sorry. Can you get them back?
Can we do the public comment while we're?
Yeah, go ahead and come up. Sorry about that. I was getting ahead of myself.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Supervisors. This subject brings up a few more questions about IT and access to data related to, Margot Kambara, General Plan Advisory Committee representative, speaking for myself. But as a concerned citizen, there is data on the Lake County 2050 website that is going to serve us well into the future. And we should take a look at what steps need to be taken that the county continues to have that access, whether it's migrating all that data to a county-controlled website, I don't know. But that should be part of the conversation, not necessarily with this agenda item, but moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room? Do we have anyone online? Betsy, go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Betsy Kahn. I did send an email that to Johanna. I'm not sure whether it got attached to the agenda or not, but we've had this problem in the past where we contract to an agency to produce a product that is ultimately part of our own compliance requirements, but we have this conflict over who maintains the information. This is really, as Margot said, this information will be, I mean, it's allegedly a 20-year county government document. I believe we need to make sure that our contracts clarify that these are work products that the county owns, and the services are necessary to update those, go along with the contract to produce them. My email noted that in the original agreement, the contractor mentioned maintaining the product to current technical and legal standards. I believe it is the contractor's responsibility to do that. But we need to make sure this is clear in our future agreements and not have this gray area about who owns the product. We're paying for it. So I want to be sure that we have the ability to control what changes are made to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Do we have anything further? Sterling?
Yes, my name is Sterling. Just quick question. I don't know if you guys are opening it up back to public comment after they come back. I did give Johanna a public comment for this. I do agree with the other comments, but we also need to look at this, that this is being brought to you guys 10 days prior to our deadline. And now we're scrambling to try to figure out how we're going to fix something. The whole initial of my public comment that I had emailed put onto the agenda is going to bring up the simple fact of there's a lot of stuff that is missing in our general plan, a lot of things that are not being added, things not being done. The director, I believe, stated that she's known about this since 2024, and she's bringing it to you guys 10 days prior to the deadline. I mean, at this point, I think we kind of need to have a little bit more oversight with our general plan, because we're going to lose out on energy policies, protecting ourselves. So what happens with the ERIs after they redo this and people submit on the 24th? That's their deadline. Are they going to still be able to submit those? Where are those ERIs going to go? Their comments? These are the questions that we have and concerns as community members. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, and so the reason that public comment wasn't on my mind is because we're not done with the item. It got trailed to later in the afternoon. So since I did go ahead and allow public comment, you know, that's in the record. When it opens up again, it may be limited to just what came up between now and then for folks that already spoke. So, and I'll check in with county council if I need to on that. But other than that, we have nothing else right now. And now we're going to take a break until 1:05 for lunch.